The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 418, Mr. Somich.
Huzzah!
Another Keeneland huzzah. It's a good Thursday afternoon. The weather's pretty nice out here for me, at least in California. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm wearing Breeders' Cup paraphernalia every day until we get to a wonderful next Wednesday when we actually get there. I'm actually pumped. I found a poker room in North Carolina that is exactly middle distance between Lexington and where I am right now. So I am dropping my wife off. She's going to fly away with the daughter on Tuesday, and I'm going directly to the casino to play poker for 2 days. And I'll go to Lexington. Then I'll go from there to play poker for 3 more days. And it's just like, I'm so excited about this week. It's going to be a blast.
God, you love your wife's vacation more than she does. Listen to that.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited, man. It's going to be so fun. I got YouTube TV. If you have YouTube TV and you subscribe to the sports package, you get Red Zone. That's the only reason I did this. I scrambled to do it week 1. They also give you Poker Go. Poker Go is a channel that only shows poker, but it's like high stakes poker from like 2003, 2004, a bunch of like the old tournaments, like the Moneymaker, and he's gone. So Aaron, the Moneymaker tournament comes on from the Moneymaker tournament comes on from the old ESPN channel. So I got to watch that. So I'm pumped up about all these different poker shows that I get to watch now because I subscribe to Red Zone.
I heard everything you said, but it kicked me out of it was the weirdest thing. I could still hear you. And then Aaron came in. I was like, wait, what the heck? That was so bizarre. I don't know what happened.
I put Aaron in at the last second, and he looked like a deer in headlights. He was just terrified. They just popped up onto the screen.
Huzzah! There you go. Especially with the borders up, it's just perfect. I have YouTube Premium. I don't have YouTube TV, but I had looked into it at one point. If I was more into sports, I probably would have, or had more time for football, I probably would get it because of that Red Zone package. It was pretty intriguing.
It's like extra $7 or something. So it's totally worth it if you're into sports.
Listen, we're going to be looking at Keeneland's late pick 5 on Saturday. This is the last weekend at Keeneland before the Breeders' Cup. And we're all very excited. If you haven't seen, over at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/racingdudes. Ton of Breeders' Cup content. We've got multiple videos coming out every single day through the weekend into next week. And then Monday, Mike, that's when we're drawing the races at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 Eastern. We're covering all that right here on the Racing Dudes channel live. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no Magic Mike on Monday because it's all about these Breeders' Cup entries. Looking forward to seeing how the draw goes this year. One of the things that really stood out to me last year was some phenomenal turf horses that drew outside. It seemed like in all those races, you had a lot of the favorites that had tough trips, tough outside posts, which either made you force you to say, okay, I really like this horse. I think they're the best. They're going to get it done. Or it allowed you to look for prices toward the inside or in different positions. So see how these draws go. Obviously going to have some huge fields again this year in a lot of the turf races. I think it's going to be more important there than you've seen a lot of the dirt races.
Speaking of that, we've got 3 stakes on this card for the pick 5 for the sequence. 2 of them are graded. A lot of horses that, just maybe a cut or 2 below the Breeders' Cup, but still a lot of talent. I'm excited to talk about it. You ready for it, buddy?
Let's do it.
Riders up. All right, Mike, first leg of the late pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday, October 29th, race 6. It's the Bowman Mill Stakes for 7 juvenile males going 6 furlongs on the main track. It's funny. We started off last week's show with the Perryville Stakes, which was 7 furlongs on dirt. Or sorry, it was 7 furlongs on dirt for 3 year-olds. Now we're 6 furlongs for 7 of them. Where are you going on top here?
Slight cutback here for the Magic Mike show. Look, there's 7 horses in the field. 6 of them show speed. Who do you think I'm taking? Give me the one horse, Raise Cane, the only horse that can come from off the pace. Also has pretty solid numbers as well. Debuted at 6.5, had some struggles there. Comes back, second race out, runs at 7 furlongs, able to get the job done, coming from off the pace. Took a nice step forward for the son of Violence, who went for $180,000 into the Ben Colebrook barn. This just sets up beautifully for someone to be able to close into this and run away from him. You've got 3 horses that are just dead speed, and the other 3 want to be speed and probably aren't fast enough. And you have, was it 1, 2, 3, 4 horses, 110 plus on the early time form rating. And they're all 2-year-olds who want the lead. So they're going to be flying up front, just flying. And it sets up really well for the one-horse race, Kane.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't touch any of those 100+ time form early pace figure horse. I'm sorry, I did take one, but wasn't just kind of as like a saver. Like, maybe this is the one that can hold off and do. We'll talk about in a second. I didn't use the one because I was a little concerned that the horse was going to be pinched a little bit too far back, being on the rail here when there is a lot of speed. I was worried he might get too far back, and at 6 furlongs might not be able to get the job done like he did going 7, which is a trickier distance for a lot of horses. A lot of these 2-year-olds, if it was 6 furlongs, they're more likely to survive that little bit in the stretch as they're stumbling home. If this race was 7 furlongs, like I was stumbling over when I first started talking about this race, then I would love this horse. But because it's 6 furlongs, I did pass. I think he's excellent underneath. I just don't think that that winning at 6 is what he's going to be best at.
When they go 21-3, you're going to be begging that you had the horse that's closing, because that you have horses in here that have gone 21-4 and they've all quit when doing it. This is going to be sub 22 opening quarter, just based on the way that the number of horses that want the lead and the way they're going to run. So you're going to really have to hope that they run the one off his feet if he's not going to be making a pretty big move around the turn. I did go 2 deep here. I went with a 3-horse Quick Hammer as my other horse, Brad Cox, Luis Saez, great connection there. Won nicely at Backwood. The time's not impressive, but the track was extremely slow that day, so I'm going to kind of give him a pass on the time perspective. Another horse who showed the ability to be able to close or show speed and close there. Brad Cox, the 2-year-old, never a bad thing. More Spirit stands for $5,000. This horse sells for $100,000. So I love it when you see those big time tags on the small time stud fees, especially when a trainer like Brad Cox gets the horse and he wins first time out and wheels it right back into a stakes. I thought about the 7 Bourbon Bash. That was the one on the outside looking in for me, but I ended up just going 1-3 here.
You talked about my top pick there, the number 3 Quick Hammer for Brad Cox. We saw as the one thing you didn't mention, though, runner-up Signator, who was 7.5 lengths clear of third, ended up breaking his maiden next out. Had a 73 buyer, which was the same as what he got for finishing second here, but still was able to go out and win next time out. Saez and Cox, according to DRF, they're 5 for their last 11 together at Keeneland. That's pretty good as well. So, I think that this horse, maybe like you're thinking he's going to sit off of that pace, wait for it to fall apart. And the reason this is my top pick, I think this is one that gets first jump, and I think we'll be able to hold off the 1 horse. That's why I went with this horse on top.
Now I'm intrigued. You said you used one of the 4 time 400 horses. The 1 and the 3, both sub 110 on time form. Which over 110 did you use? Was it the 7?
It was the 6. I went with Hurricane J, a horse with 2 wins already, including over this course last time out. But a couple of angles here. Number one, I think this is the best. It is the best price of all of them at 8-1. But the horse has had to fight both times to get the win. Last time out, it was able to pull away a little bit in the turn and clear off. But that first win at Ellis Park really had to fight hard and didn't come back with a strong buyer speed figure either time. But it's not really that. I mean, it was an 18% improvement from start 1 to start 2. Now we're in a stakes. You could see the horse step forward. We're getting second-time blinkers, and Paulo Lobo is so damn sneaky with the blinkers. When he adds blinkers, 19% winners with a 452 ROI. So this horse came through for that at 4-1 last time out. And now I'm getting 8-1 with a horse that's never lost, has shown a ton of fight, and is proven over this course and distance.
Now, I thought about the 6. Honestly, I thought about the 2. I thought about the 6. I thought about the 7. I thought this was a tough race, and that's why I really leaned toward the, hey, I think the speed's going to give it up angle, because it allowed me to narrow this down pretty quickly. I didn't want to go 5 deep, 4 deep in a 7-horse field where I'm not going to use the 4 Jeremy's Jet, who's 30-1. And I think you could use You could make an argument for any of the other 6. I mean, even Super Chow, who ran against Gulfport and Damon's Mound 2 back, came back to win. The 5 and the only 2 horses that have beaten winners before. So I'm sorry, the 2 has done it as well. Sir Lancelot won it, but that was over synthetic at Presque Isle. So you've got a couple horses in here that I think you can go those directions. You really just got to decide how you think this race is going to play out. Did you think about the 2 at all? I thought it was interesting that Jose Ortiz picked up that mount.
Yeah, he rode it at Presque Isle. I went over there for that must have been a really big day at Presque Isle a few weeks ago. That's where we need Aaron to chime in. Damn it, I don't know that, sirs. It's the fact that he did win a stakes, the fact that he has beaten winners. Those are things in his favor, but he's inside. He's like inside all of the speed, and I don't think that's where he's going to be. Last time out, I mean, he got a huge flyer out of the gate, and if you look at the times they were setting, you're predicting, Mike, they're going to be a second faster than that.
Yeah, I mean, 22-3 for 6.5 furlongs there. If you look at like what the 5-horse Super Chow did, 21-1 breaking its maiden, 21-4 second time out. that horse has the speed to be able to get out there in 21 and change. And you've got 4 other horses that want to be on the lead. You got to think at least one of them is going to flash that type of speed as well, which could create havoc here in the final furlong or so.
Let's move on. Mike's second leg of the late pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday, October 29th, race 7. We've got an overdrawn field of 12 maiden boys, 3 and up plus 4 also eligibles. We're going 6.5 furlongs on the main track, right? Yep, I'd make sure I get this one right. Plenty of options in this one, especially from a price perspective. The favorite is Cape Trafalgar, who we talk about a lot, is 3-1. So where are you going to go here for your first one?
I mean, he might have found his friends here. This is not an overly difficult field. And a lot of the horses that have started before have left something to be desired. But I'm going to go with the 5-horse, 10-1, plausible denial on top here for James DeVito. John Velasquez picks up this mount. A key to me here is the 6.5 furlongs. If you kind of separate out his races into the races 6.5 plus and 6 and less, you did all the 6 furlong races, not great. But the 6.5 races, both solid. The 6.5 furlong race was a solid. Got an 80 buyer, ran second there. You go to the mile and a 16th race at Oaklawn, ends up running third. Has Velasquez up. Western River wins that race. Pretty solid race. The race before that, at a mile at Oaklawn Park, runs well. Those are his top 3 buyers, top 3 races of his career. I think the 6.5 is the correct distance here for plausible denial. And look, there's enough speed, but he can be tactical with his. It's a $375,000 son of Pioneer of the Nile, so there were big expectations here. I like the work 2 back. Bullet out of 18 at Hawthorne. Then they decided to bring the horse down here to Keeneland. It's just one of those where 10-1, you get Velasquez up, who has ridden this horse before. I think plausible denial is interesting.
Yeah, I went 3 deep, and this is one of the 3 that I used, and you touched on all things that I had. Aside from, Mike, look at the value we're getting. This horse has been 5-2 once, and he's never been higher than 2-1 in any other start, and he's 10-1 here. And I saw the same thing as you did, buddy, that 6.5 is going to be the difference. You scratch off those 3 6 furlong efforts, including the one last time out when he was just terrible. Something clearly went awry because we haven't seen him for a while. You scratch those off. Why does this horse not fit perfectly here?
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how I'm focusing on this race, is I think you can pretty easily scratch those 3 off. I did use Cape Trafalgar as my other must-use. The 11 fits here. You're getting second off a layoff. Like I said, this field isn't world beaters, and that race probably last time at Keeneland was good enough to win this. Lost to Brigadier General that day. He's an okay horse. Unikey out of that first race is pretty good as well. So he's lost to some decent horses. But it's kind of now or never for Cape Trafalgar. Like, if he doesn't win here, I'm not sure you can play him at any type of price under like 5-6-1. I don't think you're ever going to get that type of number on him.
Yeah, I'm not going to play him here. I'm going to, it's too short of a price in a field where I like horses at a price. And the way my ticket structured too, I am a little chalky in some other spots. So this was one where I think you can really beat him. It's also, I know a lot of people love to try and beat Safi away from Gulfstream Park. And maybe that's when we play him, right? Maybe that period during the Claiming Crown season before the championship meet, Mike, when he's still a maiden, like, all right, now we're going to get him. Claiming Crown Saturday, that's when this horse is going to finally get a time.
Yeah, and Nick's asks, how have the morning lines overall been at Keeneland? We've had a couple text chains about how bad they've been. To be honest with you, Nick, it's been kind of brutal. Like today, there was an instance where 2 horses were 20-1 on the morning line, and they went off at 4-1 and 9-2 as the 2 favorites in the race. And it was predictable that both of those horses were going to get back, because I had them both on tickets. So it's been a little rough on the morning line front, I'd say, at Keeneland, specifically on the turf races. They've been wildly off. The dirt races have been a little more accurate, mainly because the fields are a little smaller. It's a little easier to put a morning line on a 7-horse field than a 12-horse field. But man, it's been a rough week. We'll just put it that way.
You know what? Aaron actually told me he's got a speech prepared when we get to Keeneland. When Nick Tamaro does it for the Breeders' Cup, he's got a speech ready for him. You want a preview of it?
A stupid, naive, silly little goose.
That's a little rude, Aaron, but it works out. Yeah. Listen.
Did they really say goose there, or is that edited for TV?
Oh, he said naive, stupid, silly little goose. Yes.
Yeah, wonderful show you watch there, Magic. All right. Next pick for me, I'm gonna go to the outside here, the 12 Isitude. It's a horse by Keen Ice. Should like the added distance here. And this one had one start at Churchill Downs. It's a $118,000 maiden special weight. Horse made a nice move, rallied up to end up finishing in second, 2.5 lengths behind the winner. Should improve second out. Completely looked awful at the break. The extra half furlong should help out Isitude. So I threw the 12 on the ticket as well here, 9-2.
I threw this off. I think that this horse is going to be extremely overbet based off of what we saw. And by the way, 37-1 on debut. 9-2 here. Huge jump, and we're going to be stretching out. And it's enticing when you see them rally like that so nicely when they're going 6 furlongs. Like, oh, if they go longer, it doesn't always work out. They don't always have that same kick, that same ability there. Did look good on debut for that position. Trainer Lacey Pierce, former assistant for Wayne Catalano. She just went out on her own, I think, a couple months ago. So that's why you only see 13 starters for her, but she already does have a win. And she was the one who also was in charge of handling Aloha West when he was in his Breeders' Cup Sprint campaign last year. So she knows what she's doing with dirt sprinters, it seems like. I'm going to play against, though. I just think that this is not a good spot for this horse at 9-2. Again, I like some other horses at a price, and the difference there, 37-1, 9-2, that's keeping me away from him too.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, but you're going to lose because of it. I thought it was interesting that Brian Hernandez Jr. picked up the mount first time out for her, and then now it's coming back and riding again. It's a jockey who's 20%, does very well at Churchill Downs. Generally not going to ride for barns, and I realize that she's just out on her own, so there's a little bit different than like just that really small barn, but still not a ton of starters yet. And the fact that he rode this horse first time out and now riding back, I think is a positive sign. Also, it's tough to know really what to expect from first-time starters from Lacey Pierce. I think that's another reason why you're going to see horses first time out not get bet, right? And so that kind of allows that 38-1 to be a little more passable to me. Other one I went with here, the 4-horse Irrigate Spirit, second out for Ron Arquette. I like the fact that we're adding blinkers here. I thought the horse ran well in debut, and so then to add the blinkers, which is 16% move for Arquette, Moquette. Sorry, Ron Moquette, not Arquette. Wrong family.
I was going to let you keep going. Yeah, just it's fine.
No, Scream, what, 18 is coming out soon? He might be in that one again. Might be the grandfather. So yeah, Irrigate Spirit coming in here, and Slam Dunk Racing sending this horse in. I know Slam Dunk pretty well, know Nick pretty well. They don't send horses around the country unless they think they're going to absolutely fire. And so this is one that I think they're pretty high in the spot that they found for Irrigate Spirit here. So we're going to go with 4, 5, 11, and 12 to try and get through here.
I went 3 deep, and you talked about the second one here as well, Irrigate Spirit. This was my second choice. Slam Dunk Racing, run by Nick Casado. That's the breeder here. Aaron knows who the dam is. Aaron knows who this horse's half brother is. His name is Whitmore. He famously won the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
He's good
at Keeneland, going 6 furlongs. Yeah, he ended up being pretty good. Also, more than a bit of a nutcase from what we've learned from the Moquette family. And it seems like Irrigate Spirit has a little bit of that spirit as well. It says in the notes here, Tyler Gaffleone got bucked in the pre-race parade. And that, to me, says a lot about the horse to still, fight on and to have something so screwy go on that you're scared in your first race and you throw the rider and they have to put him back on and you're all worked up. And he still ran third. He passed a couple of horses. Isatu did finish ahead of him there, but I like that we're adding blinkers here. 16% move for Moquette. Now he's got the race experience. Tyler Gaffleone, not scared of the horse, decides, that wasn't that bad getting thrown. I'm going to hop back aboard here. So I like some of the work pattern as well. I think he's sitting on a good effort here. And at 12-1, I feel like with, Gaffleone and Size are the top 2 riders at the meet. You got to use him.
Yeah. What price does this horse go off at? Let's play this game because I think the morning line's way off at 12-1.
I do too. Aaron, you want to hold up fingers what you think it is? I'm going to say 6-1. I think the horse is 5, Aaron says.
I was in that 5 to 6-1 range as well. I don't know how you're getting 12-1 on this one and 9-2 on the 12 when they ran together last time, and the 4-horse showed more speed, and you would think is going to improve second time out here. And the triple the price seems off to me.
It's for all the money line or the morning. I see ML and think money line. Morning line odds. Mark says another reason I handicap on Wednesday into morning line odds. I do that. I like to do that a lot. I usually don't see the odds until sometimes as we're doing the show. I go, oh, that's what the odds are for that horse. And then Dr. Tang, race 8, right as we're talking, 10-1 morning line wins at 5-1 at Keeneland.
I'm not watching. Who won the last race? I'm actually focusing on the show right now instead of watching the last at Keeneland. Aren't you proud of me, Magic?
I am. I'm surprised. Are you feeling okay? Is your internet slow? Is that what's happening?
No, I'm angry at Aqueduct. That's why I'm drinking red wine during the show, and so I just didn't watch the last of Keeneland.
My top pick, real quick. I'm going to go with the number 9 Power Seeker for Brad Cox. You talked about it, Mike, when you were first discussing the race. A lot of these horses that are run a bunch leave a lot to be desired. This horse has never disappointed anybody, and it's Brad Cox with Joel Rosario. Distorted Humor is a pretty strong sire. Horses debuting at 3 or older, 15%, well above average. Almost double what the average is. He's also a 17% dirt sprint sire, well above average. He's got one older sibling that raced. She won her debut at age 2, sprinting on the dirt. Cox is 5 for 26 when he debuts older horses at Keeneland in dirt sprints over the last 5 years. You got Rosario to ride a couple of those. I love that Rosario is going to be here, and I love that I'm getting 6-1 because not only is that a value to me, but then there's 3-1 on a bad favorite that I'm trying to beat. So I really like the way this sets up for this horse, and I really think that if he can, if Cox has got him ready, and Cox wouldn't put him in Keeneland Saturday if he wasn't ready, I think he's got a great chance here.
Yeah, this is a race where I would not want to make the morning line. It's like, just to give credit to Keeneland's morning line maker, morning line makers around the world. It is a thankless job and it's extremely difficult, right? The 9, Power Seeker, first out for Brad Cox. The 6, Pricing Power, the first out for Chad Brown. Very difficult to figure out what type of money you're going to get on those 2 horses in this spot. Montauk Point, another one, 10-1 on the morning line, but coming in and has races good enough to win this up in New York as well. So this is a tough race to set a morning line for. And I think you either have to decide, hey, I'm going to give a shot to the 6 and the 9, the 2 first-time starters from Marquis Barnes that are 20+% that can debut older and win, who got good jockeys to ride here, Ortiz and Rosario, or you're kind of leaving them off the ticket and you say, hey, I want someone who's a little more experienced and has run a couple times to be able to try and get the job done. I went for the more experienced horses. If I went deeper here, the 6 and the 9 would be the next 2 on my ticket. If I wanted to leave, the 11 off or the 12 off, the 6 and the 9 would be the next 2 on my ticket, because I do think they're the ones that have a shot at upsetting the apple cart here first out. This is just a tough race at 6.5 furlongs against experienced horses to debut in, and that's why I did not go that direction.
Let's move on. My third leg of the late pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday, October 29th, race 8, 12 3-year-old males +4, also eligible. Going a mile, 2 turns on the turf in the grade 3 Bryan Station Stakes. And every time I think about this race, I think about the damn horse that won it at 73-1 Breeders' Cup Friday at Keeneland in 2020. And just like that race, this looks like kind of a hot mess from a perspective other than the top on a couple of choices here. We're going.
Give me ready to perform on top. The 1 horse here has gotten better and better, done well at a mile. I like the post for Joel Rosario. Should be able to show speed and save ground around the first turn. There is quite a bit of speed side on here, so I'm not sure we make the lead from the rail, but you should at least see Rosario hustle ready to perform out and probably sit in that 3rd or 4th spot inside 2nd tier. And from there, I think he's got a pretty good shot at winning. That last race is one where I'm just not worried about it. Look, we tried to go a mile and 5/16 to Kentucky Downs after never going further than a mile and a 16th. Seemed like a pretty big ask. Actually went off as the favorite. But the race before that, the Hall of Fame, ran well at Saratoga, was able to take that field gate to wire. We're carrying 124 at Kentucky Downs as well, dropping to 122 today. That should help out, as should the cutback. So give me the 1 ready to perform at 5-1 on top.
That is my top pick as well. That is Aaron's top pick as well. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the preview at racingdudes.com. He also likes ready to perform. This horse has always seemed like he's got a lot of talent. He had those 2 wins to start the career, goes to Del Mar, doesn't draw into the juvenile turf, and then has a trip where he is way too far back on that turf course at Del Mar. And he was able to close, 6 lengths on the winner, but wasn't only able to get up for 7th. But horse has a ton of talent, and he nailed it perfectly. I think we're getting 5-1 because he disappointed as the favorite in a race he really wasn't meant for. Now that we've, they tried it, we look at it now and go, okay, that wasn't the spot for him. So I'm with you on that horse. Next up for me is going to be the number 8 Wit at 3-1. He is the favorite, and I wanted to try and play against him because I'm also using ready to perform, but he just has looked too good in those 2 turf miles. He gets a really good second to ready to perform in the Hall of Fame 2 back. And then he goes out and he wins gate to wire and it shows a different dimension. He's got the ability to sit on or I guess he did go to wire. I'm sorry. So he sits off of both of those in both of those efforts. I think with Jose Ortiz riding for the 3rd straight time, it seems like a great spot. I just wish he was better than 3-1.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about the morning lines, although this is a tough race. I think 3-1 is probably a fair price on Wit in this spot. This is my 3rd horse on the ticket. I'm going 5 deep here because I am going to throw in a couple prices, but I did like Wit. Has done absolutely nothing wrong since going over to the grass. You mentioned it. Ran 2nd to ready perform with both of our top pick. Jose Ortiz ends up here versus in some other spots that would have been logical. And we'll talk about one of those horses I'm not using that I'm kind of surprised doesn't have a different jockey. But, we talked about how hot Pletcher's been as well. He's been on fire at Keeneland and at Belmont. I don't want to leave this horse off right now. One that we all thought was super talented at 2. He's kind of turning into the horse we expected on turf now at 3. I don't understand why Fort Washington is 15-1. Can someone explain this to me? Like, I'm going to use the 3 horse. I like 15-1 seems like a wild pipe dream, right?
I think you'll get it. To me, I think you're going to get it. You don't? Aaron doesn't think so either? No, I don't know.
No? Okay, no.
This is why I don't make morning lines. Ask John White. I don't know.
I think Fort Washington beat Annapolis. Or no, I'm sorry. Did not beat Annapolis. Beat Portfolio Company. And Portfolio Company is sitting on the board at 8-1. And I could argue that Fort Washington has every chance to take a step forward here. Second off the layoff, second later in a 3-year-old campaign. Was 5-1 last time out against a couple of these in here and had an awful start and still ran on and almost made up all the ground. I think Fort Washington should be like 9-2 in this spot, and we're getting 15-1, which seems just crazy to me.
Well, you're gonna. I mean, look at Portfolio Company. Though. He sucks so much money, and now we've got. This is the one you want to talk about. Why is Florent Giroux on this horse? I'm not touching him. Why the hell is Florent Giroux? Nobody wants to ride this horse. Nobody. Okay.
Saez, Rosario, Ortiz, Blast, they're all there. And it's Florent Giroux on the brown horse.
Gaffleon rides for him once in a blue moon. I mean, man.
Wild.
It's like, by the way, we didn't talk about it, but Flo was not on the Brad Cox debuting in the last race that I was using. He was riding for Nick Zito, who he's ridden 3 times for in 2018 and never since. So, follow the smell trail here. Portfolio Company, I wanted to try and use him, but Florent Giroux, no. That's a big just red flag.
Again, this horse has been ridden by Rosario, by Pratt, by Irad. And this is who you end up with here in a race that you could get someone if you thought the horse was going to be really successful. So it was just shocking to me that Giroux ends up here. It's the reason I did not use this one. I did use Balnikov here for D'Amato, who gets Gaffleon aboard. The 2 horse in this spot, been running in California, but I kind of respect, and this may come back to bite me. I respect D'Amato and what he's been able to do on the turf, specifically in the last couple of years. Little Red Feather has this one. They place horses extremely well. I thought the best 2 efforts have been at a mile for this horse in the Singletary, and then coming back in the Oceanside. There's a ton of speed in here. This horse has big time late kick. If there's someone that's absolutely charging from the clouds, I think it's a 2-horse Balnikov in this spot.
I cannot believe you're still picking Phil D'Amato horses in Kentucky. How many times are you going to keep doing this?
I don't think I've done it that much.
Gregorian Chan, every time he pops his head up for one.
Well, that's been in New York more than Kentucky.
I just mean in general, I can't do it. You started off your argument saying he's a California horse. Done. I'm out. I'm good.
I know how much you like to slander your own state.
His win in America wasn't even against open company in California. It was restricted to horses who had never won a stakes at a mile or over, meaning horses that in California standards were, that's the race you can point to.
Who else are you using here, Magic? I would like a bottle of tequila this weekend.
I'm not playing that. No.
See,
that doesn't even make sense. Number 7, Double Clutch, is another horse that I am using in here. Rusty Arnold, this horse is 10-1 on the morning line. This is a horse that that Rusty Arnold is trying to get back on track. He broke his maiden over this course in distance in April. Very strong. Beat a horse in Chasing the Crown, who was in 3rd place, won next out. He goes, takes some time off, returns to the Manila Stakes, going to Mount Belmont. We're 2nd to Annapolis. We're ahead of the horse that you and I both have on top and ready to perform. And then Saratoga, the Hall of Fame Stakes, something goes awry there, doesn't quite have the same kick. And then, just like we said, with Ready to Perform, he tried setting the pace in the Dueling Grounds Derby. First of all, never his style. Second of all, amount of 5/16, probably not for him either. And he fades pretty hard. And now we're getting 10-1 on him here. I think this is a great spot, but he's going to have, I'm anticipating that he's going to still be able to reverse it. I think he still has a ton of talent. I can't get over the fact that how good he looked earlier this year. And Arnold's not dropping him down in class. He's not removing him from stakes competition. He is eligible for non-winners of one other than allowance still, but we're still trying the stakes races.
Yep, I used him. All the reasons you said. I actually think you get 10-1 on this one because of the connections. Lannery and Arnold probably don't take as much money, especially in a deeply competitive race like this. You just scratch out the last and everything else fits, especially if the horse is able to improve. So I think this is a good call on the 7 compared to the last horse that you're using, which is a terrible call. And I will happily do a head-to-head bet for a bottle of tequila.
Oh no, because this one's a home run swing. My last one. Did we talk all of your? Yeah, we did.
We did. Yeah. Real quick. Pratt and Irad are both at Backwood. They're both at Backwood for the weekend.
Are they trying to win a rider's title? I didn't quite understand why they would both skip it, because it's just the one day that they're there, and then I think they come back to Keeneland again. So, anyways, they're both in New York.
They've been on the Backwood cards all weekend.
Okay, so the last one for me, it's a big home run swing here. 20-1, number 11, Stolen Base. This horse is a mother effing roller coaster. You never know, is he going to run well or is he going to throw up a dud? I don't know, but at 20-1, I'm willing to take a shot because on his best day, he can win this race. He beat Balnikov in the Grade 2 American Turf back in May. He was a late running second in the Bourbon over this course last year to Tiz the Bomb, who ends up being the Mutuel winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. He's got to win in 2 seconds and 3 starts in Kentucky grass. Maybe it's the Kentucky grass that he loves. Maybe that's why he ends up doing well at Keeneland or Churchill, just not so much any other place. I can't figure it out, but it is Mike Maker. This horse probably shouldn't be here. He sends in over his head based off of his recent form. Maker's still going with him. And don't forget, Maker won the Juvenile Turf with Fire at Will 2 years ago at 30-something to 1. He knows what he's doing with these turf horses. And if you give him the chance at a big price with a horse that is proven, there are proven points on his resume, I'm going to use him. Now, I'm only using because he's 20-1. If he's like 10-1, no, he's not worth it. Yeah.
Terrible pick. He has no chance of winning. I like you can point back. I get you point back to that one race where he won at Kentucky, and yes, he beat Balnikov that day. And I was kind of frustrated about that because I think I was on Balnikov now that you mentioned it. And Jared, I think, had Stolen Base, and we were at the Derby. And Jared got all excited and celebrating and bet $0 on Stolen Base. And I had money on Balnikov, which is probably the most frustrating thing in the world when you're at the racetrack with a friend and the person's like, I really like this horse, but then doesn't bet them and then cheers wildly for them to beat your horse, which you have money on. Dick move. Okay. Anyway,
how many horses in this field can say that they finished ahead of the Kentucky Derby winner? He was second in the Battaglia. Rich Drake was fourth.
Yeah. On Polytrack. Okay. Like, his best races arguably are on Polytrack outside of that one race that came out of absolutely nowhere, never has been recreated at Churchill Downs. So when you say he's hit or miss, he's 1 for 11 in good races. So you're hoping he runs back to that one race and that no one else improves. That's how he wins this. And by the way, that was a mile 16th. He wants every bit of like a mile and an eighth. That is my biggest knock on Stolen Base. A mile is just a little bit too short for him.
That was a concern for me, But again, 20-1. I get it. That is a valid concern. He's 0 for 4 and he's only finished second.
So going a mile. One bottle or 2 bottles of tequila straight up 10 versus 11 or 2 versus 11.
The one time he was second going a mile is the Kentucky Downs. You can't. That's like a mile and a 16th there too, right? So can't even really count it. So did we hit all yours? I know you're going 5 deep. Did we hit all yours?
Yeah, we did. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 7, 8.
Perfect. We'll move on. The penultimate leg. Take a shot at tequila, you motherfucker. The leg pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday, October 29th of Grade 2 Fayette Stakes for 6 older horses going a mile and an eighth on the main track. The question is not, did Magic take a Brad Cox horse on top for the 4th straight race? It is which Brad Cox horse he took on top for the 4th straight race. However, question for you, where'd you go on top?
I mean, I singled First Captain, who's going to win this for fun. I'm like, what are you doing? I went with First Captain on top, who has improved the last 3 out, lost to Olympiad and American Revolution, who would both be 1-9 in this field. Time before that, just Mr. Dynamic 1 would be 1-9 in this field. And the race 3 back 1, and that race would make him 1-9 in this field. So I'm going to go ahead and single the 4 horse First Captain.
I used him. I went too deep here. My one concern with him was the pace setup. Is somebody going to scoot away? And with that in mind, I thought maybe the 1 West Willpower to do it. So I went 1-4 here in this spot. The race last time out, going a mile and an eighth at Churchill, he drew the rail, he broke well, he was handled well, and he took off. If he can replicate that sort of a trip, I think he's got a good chance here. It's just a matter of the pace setup. And First Captain, I mean, those 2 great efforts he had in the Suburban and Kentucky Jockey Club Gold Cup, they came in a mile and a quarter. You're cutting back to a mile and an eighth. Are you worried at all about that cut back to the mile and eighth distance? Because he looks and runs like a true mile and a quarter horse.
He does. He won at 7 furlongs, which makes me a lot less concerned. I mean, when a horse can win going 1 turn, I'm not worried about a furlong cut back from a mile and a quarter to a mile and an eighth. It shows they have a turn of foot at pretty much any distance. Also shows that he has some tactical speed. I actually think the 6 Last Samurai is the horse that probably gets the lead. I don't think he has any choice but to go. Went 45 and change for an opening half mile and a mile race, a couple back. I think that's your cheap speed. I think maybe the 1 presses, but like, you don't see Rosario getting speed duels very often going a mile and an eighth. It seems like he's probably going to sit a little bit off with that one. And Saez is one of those jockeys that I trust more than most to read the form and realize I can't be 10 lengths back here. I've got to be in striking distance, turning for home, and I'm on the best horse. I'll get the job done as long as I don't lose this for the horse.
was trying to figure out this horse sold for $1.5 million, but Bobby Flay probably got a nice new kitchen set with that money. The Dam was a multiple stakes winner going long too. So I think the horse is, if you're going to single him, I don't hate you for it. I just was thinking pace wise, is West Willpower going to be able, once he gets first jump, assume he does on first captain, will he be able to hold him back? And so that's where, but again, the 4 is continuously improving and there's really no reason not to like him.
Yeah, I mean, the one went 114 for 6 furlongs last time out. The 4 first captain was 3 lengths back, a 113 and 2. So he would have gone faster than the one did when he went wire to wire last time out. So I agree with you. The pace could definitely play a factor here if the 4 is like 10 lengths back. I just think the 4 is going to be within 2 lengths. And if that's the case, turning for home, I'll take the best horse.
Yeah, the race, what was it, 2 back, if Saez keeps him, or even the Pimlico Special. Well, no, the Pimlico Special, that was, I think, a little too far back. But if the Suburban set up, that one, boy, I forgot about that race with him in Dynamic 1, too. That was a hell of a battle. And you're right, too. Olympiad is going to the Breeders' Cup Classic. American Revolution was a horse for a while that Aaron had in his top 10 for contenders for that race until they decided to reroute. So, yeah, I don't hate you for singling this one. Did you think about singling in this last leg? Because the last leg at Keeneland, we've got a 5.5 furlong turf sprint. It's a conditional allowance, but the conditions are all wacky and weird and all over the place. And you've got 2 Wesley Wards in here, including the 8-5 favorite Illegal Smile, who was on the rail. Did you single? Did you think about it?
Look, there's 2 horses that I thought were pretty big standouts. One of them is the 1 horse Illegal Smile, who makes a ton of sense in this spot, coming out of a grade 3 and a listed stakes at Saratoga in the previous 2 races, both won by Caravel, who's a very, very good turf sprinter. So I respect the heck out of what the 1 has done and is a deserving favorite. The 6 is really fast. Spicy Marg made the lead pretty much every single start in her career. She's the other one I'm interested in to kind of come out there and get the lead. They're both kind of reasonably chalky picks, 8-5 and 7-2, the 2 top choices on the morning line, but are obviously logically the 2 horses to beat here. So I didn't want to leave either of them off the ticket when they do seem like the most talented. I did have one little bit spice play. I'm assuming you used the 1-6 as well. Do you have anyone else to spice it up?
No, I was 6-1 if you want the specific order in case the 6 gets loose. But yeah, no, we agree on those. Tell us about the 7.
Yeah, I mean, the 7 caught my eye here, and this is this is a daughter of violence. 2-in-1 show. I love it, man. Look, cross out that last race, the grade 3 ladies sprint. It was 6.5 furlongs. It was too far Kentucky Downs. I'm not worried about that one. We've been at big price in all these other spots. Never really been in a competitive situation. I feel like we're getting back to a spot where we can be competitive here. And even, 2 back, lost by 2 lengths in that spot. 3 back, lost by just a length. Those are both overnight stakes, 153,000, 100,000 at Colonial and Ellis. Both of those, from a buyer speed figure perspective, are good enough to win this race. And you're sitting at 15-1. Now, neither of them came in wins and both came in stakes races, which concern me. Because I generally am looking for that's where you get inflated buyers a lot of the time, is when a big price runs 3rd or 4th in a stakes race and they get a monster number for it because of what the front runners ran. But then you kind of peel the onion back a little bit, and the win at Colonial going 5.5 in a stakes back in 2021 when this horse was 3 projects out to those numbers that you're now seeing this horse run at 4 and 5. So the fact of the matter is this logical improvement to see those numbers when you go back to a win in that 3-year-old season. We're getting 15-1. I do think there's a healthy amount of pace here, which sets this up well for Valencia. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot on a horse that's dropping in class. It's probably going to get overlooked in this spot. So the 7 at 15-1's sneaky to me.
I didn't use, but I mean, you're getting a good price, and there is a scenario I think in which this horse can get the job done. I know that when I was looking through the PPs here, I saw that Marcus Hirsch from DRF really likes her a lot. So you're not the only one who thinks that she's got a good chance in here. Did you take the last one off for me that didn't make my ticket was the 9 Chitara here at 8-1. A horse that hasn't seen American turf. She's Chilean bred, and her first 2 career starts were on turf. She was favored in both of those in Chile for whatever that's worth. But then we go 18 straight starts on the dirt, Mike, and she wins 7 of those. So I get why they stuck with it for a while. But this part of me feels like, hey, we're trying something new. We've never been on the American turf. We've got Cheminade, who I like to use. And he and Correas are a strong 23% with a 556 ROI. Lots of things to like. But why this almost feels like we're going on the turf because the dirt form's fallen off and one last stab before this 5-year-old goes off to be a mom.
Yeah, Daddy Longlegs is not generally the best turf sire. Who is the sire here of the 9-horse Chitara? My biggest knock against Chitara is the path to winning. I thought was going gate to wire. I don't think we're as fast as Spicy Mark, and that so the 9, like, spoiler alert, was my fourth horse in this race. So if I was going one more deep, it would be the 9. The Sarah Mia is interesting to me, but Sarah Mia ran last weekend, so I'd be very surprised if Diodoro wheels her back that quickly. But who knows? I think that's another one, the 11, who got a tough trip last weekend, as a possible horse to use here, especially if courses are closing. But over the last couple of days, you haven't been able to close a lick over that turf course. If the 6 scratches out, which I wouldn't be shocked to see, because Ward sometimes scratches one of his 2 if he has one that he prefers. If the 6 comes out of this race, I all of a sudden become a lot more interested in the 9.
Cool. Yeah. One note I had too is, and this goes back to the morning line odds thing. Maybe I will get it. I was saying, 8-1 might be too short for me against this field. But if you gave me something like 12-1, 15-1, to me, then it becomes more enticing. But you never know what's going to happen with those morning line odds. Anybody in the chat? Any other horses that we missed from the chat? No, everybody's been pretty quiet about this. Nobody with Keeneland opinions. Everybody's waiting for blinkers off in 15 minutes. That's what it is.
Yeah. Did you look at the 5-horse Limos Chuna at all?
I did, for trying to figure out how the hell to say the name. I did. The horse is interesting. Is 3 for 9 at the distance. All 3 wins at this distance, but they were against smaller tracks, and I never quite really know how to play that. What did you think about her?
Well, the horse Creative Credit, who won 2 and 3 back, is the horse that beat the 7-horse 2 back. So to me, there you could put some type of parallel between the 2. Now that the 7 was closer than the 5 was to Creative Credit in either of those spots. So the 7 in that mind should be a shorter price than the 5, and 15-1, the other's 9-2. But it does put it in the same ballpark from a turf sprinting perspective. You don't see those connections show up very often at Keeneland. You'd expect the horse is going to fire.
It's true. Yeah, there are things to like about. I didn't love the 9-2. I had too many question marks at 9-2. I think that's what my issue was there.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to talk about Keeneland's final Saturday Pick 5 before the Breeders' Cup. And boy, we're excited about the Breeders' Cup. Before we talk about that, Mike, let's give out our tickets one last time. I'll start off. I'm going to go 3-6 with 4-5-9, with 1-7, 8-11, with 1-4, with 1-6. It's $48. Go for it.
50 cents. I'm going to go 1-3 with 4, 5, 11, 12 with 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 with 4 with 1, 6, 7 for 50 cents. That'll cost you $60.
Breeders' Cup is going to be coming up next weekend. Next Friday is the Future Stars Friday, and then Saturday is going to be the big event with the Classic, the Distaff, the Turf. We've got the entries being taken on Monday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. And you can follow all of that right here at youtube.com/racingdudes and at racingdudes.com. If you haven't yet, check out the inside track to the Breeders' Cup wagering guides available for pre-sale. You get all sorts of fun goodies in there. Mike Somich, you're going to have an article about tournaments. I know Slim's going to be doing an article, the Life Bankroll article from Aaron. There's a lot in there. But I guess for someone, why should someone get the article or get the guide specifically for your article? What value does it bring?
Well, even if you're not a tournament player, I think a lot of people would be better bettors if they took a tournament perspective to their betting. And so the BCBC runs every Breeders' Cup. It's $7,500 live bankroll tournament, $10,000 to enter. Way over the bankroll for a lot of people. But one thing that people don't realize is that you can play that tournament. And I know a couple people have done this online and kind of talked about it on Twitter. You can play that tournament for $75. You can play it for $750. Just take the exact same minimums, the exact same strategies, and apply them to a bankroll of $75 or $750 and see how much you can blow it up for. One thing that you do in tournaments is you don't waste money, at least not if you want to be successful. And one thing that a lot of bettors do is waste money. They will play every single race. They'll throw a $5 win bet in on a horse that they don't really like that much, instead of playing, a $25 win bet on a horse they really like, and that one will end up being $15 because they lost 2 $5 win bets earlier in the card. It really teaches you a lot about bankroll management and hammering opinions, and that's a wonderful way to be betting every single day, not just in tournaments. So I'm going to write up a little bit about how I'm going to look at BCBC, where I'm going to try and take shots, how I think I'm going to try and do this with, specific exacta bets or trifecta bets. Some horses I think are worth a shot if you're down, and then just decide if you're doing this with your own money. Hey, am I trying to blow it up as big as I can, and try and see if I could win BCBC, right? Which you usually have to turn $7,500 into 160 grand to win. So it's a pretty big jump up. We're talking like almost, what is that, 25 to 1 on your money, basically, that you have to turn it into. So 25 to 1 on 700. I mean, look, 750 turns into 16,000 if you want to win the tournament. You have to be really strategic about where you're attacking if you want to try and turn 750 into 16,000 in 2 days. But you can just set yourself a goal too. Just say, hey, I'm trying to get my 750 to be 5 grand by the end of the 2 days. What a lot of people don't realize is that over a 2-day period, they'll bet more than $750 and it'll be poorly placed around the board. But when you have just that 750 bankroll, you're much more selective, much more aggressive. You have a lot better chance of turning it into something like 5 grand. So I actually think this style would help the mass majority of bettors if they took more toward how you should bet in a cash tournament toward their everyday gambling experience. And so that's kind of how I'm trying to write this article, is talking about not just the tournament perspective, but how it can help you from a gambling perspective if you're able to play in a tournament style.
And speaking of tournaments, if you are interested, we're going to be having 2 tournaments for the Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge. One for Breeders' Cup Friday, a separate one for Breeders' Cup Saturday. Can you take home the titles for both days? I think at that point, maybe we just kind of give you the title if that's what happens. We'll just preemptively give you the December 26th title. Like, yeah, I go. Or we'll give you like $100 head start on everybody for that one. But no, come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. And it's only $20 to join each tournament.
Yep, $20 to enter. 1 in every 5 will earn bids into the December 26th finale, where the Racing Dudes are putting up $500 worth of free cash into the tournament. So if you qualify, you pay $0 to play the December 26th tournament. You can win $500 if you're the winner. If you're a subscriber to any of the premium products when you qualify and when you win on the 26th, there's another $250 bonus as well. So being a subscriber here pays off as well if you can get into the finale and win that puppy.
And you don't wait to run for Saturday. Like Mark just very timely said in the chat, Friday's got those crazy bombs, and not just the turf, or not, I mean, usually the turf races, but the juvenile stakes races. But I mean, we were talking about beforehand, it looks like you can go heavy, and then single those last 2 if you have a strong opinion in them. But bombs all over the place on Friday. So don't wait around just for Saturdays. Take 2 chances at it. It's a lot of fun, and we hope to see you over there. We'll hope to see you over again at the YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, go check it out. I mean, you're watching this right now, so you probably have. But if you're listening to us on podcast, or if you're checking us out for the first time, check out our YouTube page. We've got a ton of videos coming out. We also have Blinkers Off will be coming up in 10 minutes here. So if you are watching us live, stick around. Keep this page open. It'll change right over to the Racing Dudes channel. But we've got a lot of great videos up here and a lot more coming out. Mike has a couple of great videos looking at Flightline's place in history if he wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then also Rich Strike's chances. And it's Mike who did it and not Jared. So you're getting an unbiased opinion on the horse.
Saber!
So you got that to look forward to. Check that out over here at the Racing Dudes YouTube channel. We've also got some great videos. Aaron talked about the different 3-year-olds who are all trying to win the Breeders' Cup. He's figure out which ones have the best chance. You see Nest is on there. Spoiler alert, we think she's got a good chance to do it. And then if you missed it, the pre-entries are out. We'd spent a lot of time covering that. You can catch the full show here. You can catch just the classic talk right here. That's where the meat of the discussion went. So a lot here at racingdudes.com and the YouTube channel, a lot more still to come. So please join us. Mike, before we leave, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, just make sure you're subscribed. We're going to have a ton of content coming out. Magic T's the 2 videos I'm doing. We'll be back on Monday here for the draw. We're going to have a ton of previews coming into the weekend. We'll be live Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. All of us from Lexington, Kentucky. We're even trying to get Papa Dude to go. I don't know if he's going to show up or not, but we offer him. Yeah, we've actually gotten an email from the Breeders' Cup saying that Jared's not allowed in the paddock for the Classic because they're worried he might go give Taba a hug. Not sure how that would turn out. So we'll listen to them. We'll stay away from that. But yeah, we'll be live at 8 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from Lexington, from our nice little Dudes Airbnb, all hanging out and talking some horses. So make sure you check that out as well. Come with your questions. And again, we'll be on live on Monday. No Magic Mike show. We are going to have the draw live here on our YouTube channel. We're going to have Dudes Who Bet Daily for the rest of this week, and Dudes Who Bet Daily will be off next week because we'll all be traveling and I'll be at the racetrack, so it's not going to have time.
Mark says it's unfortunate Saskatchewan is hosting the Grey Cup, which is if you don't know, that's the championship for the CFL, and it rotates every year. A new city gets it. They have an awful team. It's a rough year for Rough Riders. Screw the Rough Riders. They were kind of hard to bet sometimes this year. I love, if you can still get them, I love the BC Lions at about 5-1 to still win this title. So you can take it.
check the different international sports books that may offer that after this. See if we can get a little 5-1 action. When is that game? How long am I tying my money up for?
I think you got 3 weeks. The last regular season week is this week, so I think you've got 3 or 4 weeks.
That's not too bad then. We've got the Ravens heading into Tampa Bay tonight. Tampa Bay laying 2 now. This opened at Baltimore -2. It's gone the other way. Kind of surprised the Bucs are now laying points. I would take the Ravens, but the Ravens are riddled with injury here. Out 2 cornerbacks out. You're missing Andrews is a game time decision. Looks like he's trending toward playing Mark Andrews for Baltimore. I played the team total over on the Baltimore side. You can get it from between 21.5 and 23, depending where you look. Look, this is one of those spots where Tampa is just decimated by injuries in their secondary. Their top 3 cornerbacks are out. Their top safety is out. Their slot cornerback, who was playing safety last week, has a concussion, couldn't clear concussion protocol by the time this game started. So you're seeing 4 of the top 4 secondary players out for Tampa Bay. On top of that, you have Lamar Jackson facing an NFC team, something he's traditionally been very good at because you don't get to see Lamar Jackson's style of offense very often. Counterpoint, they have played Philadelphia a couple times the last year, Tampa Bay, so they have seen some version of it, but Lamar's a little more dynamic there. So I think Baltimore's going to be able to move the football up and down the field. I think you're going to see some deep shots off play action specifically. Gus Edwards is back. Dobbins is questionable for tonight. So the offensive side of the football definitely favors the Ravens. I don't know if the Ravens are going to be able to keep the Bucs off the board as well. So that's why I went with Ravens team total versus just playing the Ravens. But I would take Ravens money line and lean toward the over in the game as well. But my only full unit bet pre-game right now is going to be the Ravens over 23 as a team.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been enough time since the last game for Tom Brady's O-lineman to get over the screaming that he was doing at him. But I was looking at this just now for the first time. Both teams offer against the spread, so you really don't have any help with that. The good news is someone's not going to be offer against the spread, so you got a 50% chance of getting that one right. I would take in this game. I would take Baltimore if I had to, but I don't know.
I mean, it's the best Thursday night game we've had in a while. Saying something.
Yeah, angry Grandpa Brady, who's going through second divorce, midlife crisis, all sorts of things. That's okay, Tom. You got your money to keep you warm at night.
I mean, how good could that marriage have been if you're picking this Bucs teams over it? Just saying. Like it must have been pretty bad.
There's other things I would say. We're just gonna cut this short. Stay tuned for Blinkers Off. They're going live in 5 minutes. Well, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. They're scheduled to go live in 5 minutes. We'll see if they're. I know Aaron's ready for it, so tune in for that one. They'll be covering. They're actually be talking all about the Breeders' Cup pre-entry. So if you missed some of the talk before, they're gonna do more in depth. We were kind of covering it live on the fly. Now we've had time to think about it. We've got the PPs now, which are great. So check that out. Make sure you come back here tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for Dudes Who Bet Daily, and then again subscribe to YouTube channel. We got all sorts of fun stuff. And hey, there's a hot photo here in the chat. Oh, and it's gone. Okay.
I blocked it. Sorry.
Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number corporate overlords at racing_dudes. Mr. Somich, how do I just screw this up? Yeah. Until next time, I'm Magic.
I'm Mike.
See you tomorrow.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.